Hello, everyone. How you doing today, Bondy? A lot of cutting going on in Washington D.C., but is it really good, or are there mistakes happening? Becky Carlson joining me right now, and explain where you're at, what you do, that sort of thing. Give me a little lowdown on who you are.
All right. So my husband and I are farmers up in Leelanau County. We have about 1,300 acres of cherries, apples, hay, feeder corn, and sweet corn. In addition, we have about 58 head of cattle.
Wow. Okay, so you got a lot going on.
We do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the concern is with we're going to be talking about there's a grant from the USDA. That's what
Yeah,
we're talking about, right?
correct. Correct.
Okay, so back in, was it a couple years ago or a year ago, you applied for a grant and you were able to get it?
Yep. So in December of 2023, we applied for a grant. They closed the grant down on January 5th of 2024. And on the 25th of January of 2024, we received acceptance as awardees of the grant.
Okay, in simple terms, because I'm not a farmer, there might be farmers watching. What exactly does the grant give you, or what does it do?
So there was different levels within the grant. There's 144 farmers across the United States that applied for this grant and were approved for this grant. And with this grant, what it is it to help bring farm laborers into the United States, foreign and domestic. So when they come into the United States, we have to provide housing. We have to supply a certain rate of pay based on what the state of Michigan requires us to pay them. And we would bring them in here to help us with harvest during that time. So it was also to improve our housing for the migrant workers.
So that was the grant. That's what it was for. And so this would have been 2025, the first year that you would have been able to use it, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, because the season, when's the season? There's a certain season you operate in, right? The summertime or spring,
Yep.
summer,
Yep.
fall?
So we start planting beginning of May,
Okay.
and then we go into pre-harvest, and then we go into harvest in middle of July, and then we go into post-harvest stuff at the end of August,
Okay.
and then
Why?
additional apples in the later in the fall.
I got you. Why was it important to get the grant?
So we have a hard time acquiring employees. We live in a very rural area. There's not a lot of housing options up in this area, and it is very laborious work. There is a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of long days in the sun and the heat and everything, and not we can't find anyone locally that wants to do the job. We've always paid our employees very well. Two of our year-round employees that we currently do have, we do provide housing for them. And we do provide a vehicle for them to use to get to and from work, to do stuff in the orchards or in the fields with those vehicles. And we don't expect them to pay for the gas. We don't expect them to pay for the insurance. We don't expect them to pay for anything housing related, with the exception of their utilities. If they want internet, they got to pay for it. If they want electricity, they got to pay for it. If they want heat, they got to pay for it. But otherwise, we provide the housing for them themselves.
Okay. And things you so that we're in, what are we in, April right now? So
Correct.
we're getting close to May, and all of a sudden you got a surprise, right? An email?
Yep. So on the 13th of March, we received an email from another grant awardee out in, I believe he was in Minnesota, that emailed everyone within the grant awards, that said, listen, I submitted it for my paperwork to get paid in January. I have not been paid. I've done some research and some digging, and our grant is frozen.
Wow. So you haven't received any call, email, letter, anything from the government.
No, nothing.
Did that person even receive anything? Or
No.
they had to research on their own?
Yes.
Wow. So as you know, and he's found out, this grant program is paused or can't pause nationwide?
Yes, correct. It's paused. We don't know if they're going to allow it to come back or if they're going to completely get rid of it. No, there's been no communication at all.
Is this, I guess we don't know if is this, I'm going to assume it's part of what's going on in Washington with the new administration. Was he able to find that out? I mean, I should never assume, but
Right.
I would think that's probably why. I would think.
Well, that is what our assumption is that it is paused because of everything going on within the USDA and with DOGE in the USDA. We know that when I spoke to Jack Bergman's office the other day, they contacted me. They did say that they would send a letter out immediately to I can never, is it Senator Rollins? But she's, no, she's a senator for ag.
I don't know. I should know. I don't know.
I think it's Senator for Ag is what I think
Okay.
it is. Okay, she's the head of the USDA, and he did send me a copy of that, and that he a confirmation that he did send it out, but we have not heard anything back, and that was last Wednesday, I
Okay.
believe.
So as of now, what do you do if it stays the way it is? You're going to be, like you said, you can't find, and probably you said, enough workers.
Right. So we do have 3 seasonal that come back every summer. And we do, or last year we had 6 seasonal, but 3 of them are not coming back this year. We have 2 full time and 3 seasonal that will come back, but it'll be required of me and my husband to be out there more. My husband's typically in the semi hauling our fruit to our processor, but we're gonna have to hire out a trucking company now to haul our fruit for us so that he can be out in the orchard process, harvesting with us. And my 16-year-old son will have to be out there, and my dad's going to have to play guinea pig and gopher, trying to find parts and fix things as needed. It is a family farm. I'm a 4th-generation farmer. My husband is 7th-generation. So, this is not something that is new to us when it comes to the hard work and the labors of the farm. But when you have the expectation that you're going to receive this grant that is going to help you receive employees, and the nice thing about this grant, it's to entice people to come back. So the state of Michigan requires us to pay all H-2A workers, foreign and domestic, $18.15 an hour. We have to provide all their housing. We have to provide all their transportation. So all their transportation from the country of origin to our farm.
Wow.
And if it is a domestic worker from their state, their home state, to our farm, we have to supply all that transportation
Wow.
costs.
Wow.
Plus, while they're here, we have to supply 30 days of cleaning and stuff like that. So all their cleaning supplies, toiletries, we have to supply that for the first 30 days. But we also have to provide a house that, is livable.
Yeah.
We have a house that is great. It needed some upgrading, and that's what we were using the grant for. So we started doing the upgrades in October. And once the upgrades were finished in January, we should have been able to submit for reimbursement for what we put into the property. And the payment system for our specific grant is frozen.
So some people, I've heard the argument, they say, well, these people are taking away jobs from people locally, but you're telling me you could not find people to do this locally.
Correct. So one of the things we learned in this grant program, that speaking to other people within the program, is last year there was one farm that was able to actually utilize the whole funding last year because of when his grow season is. And he said for every 100 applications for H-2A foreign workers he got 1 domestic worker application.
Wow.
So when you look at those statistics of that, and you translate it into our current situation where we are, I mean, he was in New Mexico, I believe it was New Mexico. And so there's plenty of workers around there. We're in a very rural, tight-knit community where there is not a lot of high school kids. I mean, I think there's limited number of kids in Northport, for example. I think there's 106 kids K through 12 in Northport.
Wow.
And they want to work in the restaurants. They want to work at the marina. They want to work at the grocery store, the gas station, and stuff such, which, I can't blame them.
Yeah.
But because with harvest, there's not a lot of flexibility with schedules. Once it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah.
So, the biggest thing with this particular grant is that we've already put in a little bit more than half of our working capital of 2025
Oh, geez.
and into this program to meet our milestones within our grant. Because of the level of award that we are, we had additional milestones in different areas within the grant that we had to meet that other ones that received lower level awards did not have to do.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. You're big, but you're so big. You have a lot going on. What message would you like someone in Washington to hear? Are they, and this doesn't sound like, it shouldn't be a political thing. You're just trying to do your business. And I'm assuming you don't, Democrat, Republican, Independent, you just want to run a business, I'm assuming.
Correct. So if there is an NBC News article out there that I was interviewed for, and there was some things left out of that article.
Oh.
One of the things is that I did say I bleed red. But what it didn't say is that 2 weeks before the election, my husband and I decided not to participate in the 2024 presidential election. We've participated in the local election, in state election, but we chose not to mark anything down for the presidential portion.
And did they ask you why, or why was that?
They did not ask me why. So that was left out. And if you were to go look at that article, the comments on that article are very, very slanderous, very attacking, very, very nasty.
Well,
And
and I'm sure there might be some people who, when I put this out there, might not be too
oh,
happy with you.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
what is the reason for that? Was it for your business? Obviously, I'm assuming maybe
It was the attacks or the article.
not voting it in the presidential.
It there was a lot of so many unknowns within what he was saying and what Camilla was saying, and then Elon really started getting into the mix of things, and something just didn't set right with us.
Okay, you weren't on board with any of them. It sounds like.
Right, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do they? If Elon Musk hears this, and you never know, are they moving too fast? Are they moving? Are they just doing all this stuff without getting into details? What would you suggest? Because obviously, there's waste in government. We
Oh,
all know that.
absolutely.
Yeah, we all know that. But what should they be doing?
I think that what they're doing is not necessarily detrimental. I think it's important to go through and find all the waste, but I think it needs to be systematic. It can't just be this straight up upheaval and throw everything in the air and stop everything in its tracks. It needs to go through system by system by system by system, and look at the bigger picture. You look at things on the political side with tariffs, for example. With the tariffs, importing, okay, I don't have a problem with tariffs. We pay a lot out in tariffs for our exports and our imports, and they should have some equal equation there. However, once you start putting tariffs on certain countries, the those countries are going to stop importing your food.
Yeah.
The amount of imports are going to go down, and then you're going to stop farmers on the backside in the United States. Where's your food going to come from?
True, and like you said, this is now hurting. You say this is hurting you, and I mean, it sounds like you're going to be able to keep going,
Yeah,
but it's not going to be easy at all,
no.
as if this grant was in place.
There's going to
Um,
be some farms that are with this grant that if it's not on frozen soon, they will have to file for bankruptcy.
wow, and it's in this program is to provide the workforce. That's the
Correct.
goal of the grant. So you're telling me if it's not unfrozen, some farms are so bad with that staffing, they're not going to be able to operate.
That and the money that they've already put into the grant that they need to be reimbursed for.
So there's money already been put into solidify qualifications,
Yeah,
and you're not getting that money back, or who knows where that money you're.
right. We don't know when or if we're ever going to get that money back.
So you would
We're
at least.
talking with our situation. We're talking 250,000 that we've already put into our program.
Wow, that like money you invested into getting the qualifications for the
Yep.
grant.
Yep.
Things
So
you okay.
yep, for the housing, for transportation requirements, for for the various program, I guess you could say milestones within the grant that we have to meet.
Yeah. Wow. So you just want answers.
Yeah.
Well, you want the grant to continue, but there's a
Right.
lot of answers you need too. Like, what about the money you put in? When will it be unfrozen? Are you looking into unfreeze? There's a lot of questions that sounds like need to be answered.
Yeah, and there's been no answers. I've had great response from Democrats and Republicans within the state of Michigan on both sides.
Hmm.
I did do a town hall speaking, the first political thing I've done outside of Facebook.
Yeah.
Was I went to the town hall in Traverse City that Betsy Kofia and Dana Nessel had,
Hmm.
and I spoke out there. And that kind of started to snowball everything with Senator Peters' office, with Alyssa Slotkin's office, with even John DeMoose, and with Jack Bergman. That kind of started the snowball process of everything, with communication, and which has been great from all those representatives.
Yeah, and Jack Bergman, he's a Republican.
Correct.
So the thing is, and I know people are going to watch this, and you have some people now who are like, they're either right or left, and it sounds like this is an issue. You don't care who helps you or gets it. sometimes people paint issues like, oh, it's this way or that way.
Right.
No, it's actually impacting people, and
Right.
this is it's not should be a partisan, a hardcore political thing, right? Because
No,
I mean, and
because food has to feed everyone, and your farmers are feeding the people and the masses and clothing the masses.
yeah, and I just gave you a chance. I air the whole segment. I used to work in TV news. We were only allowed to air a minute 30, and I
Right.
air the whole thing with you. And that's what the why I like doing this, because some people might say, "Well, why can't she hire people locally?" Well, you just told me why you can't, because
Right.
they won't do it.
Right.
And the people in this program, you're not you're not going to Mexico in a van, getting people and driving them. I
No.
mean, this is not you getting illegal immigrants. This
No.
is a program that sounds like the government knows who these people are.
Yes.
It's not some underground type thing that,
Right.
it.
So what we have to do is we have to submit a job order to the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor, once they approve that job order, then it sends it out to whatever group or whatever contractor group we choose for our H-2A workers. But not only does it go out to those contractors that do bring H-2A workers in the United States, it goes out to every single state worker association or agency in the United States.
Oh.
So Michigan Works, for example,
Oh.
it would go
Okay.
out to them. So if I was looking for 10 employees. So if I had 10 employees coming in I had to specifically use one contractor for H2A, and that was the NCA Ministries. And they specifically deal with Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador.
Okay.
El Salvador and Honduras were like, yeah, with everything going on in your country, we're going to kind of step back a little bit from the H2A. But Guatemala was still on board. But if I had 10 coming in from Guatemala and somebody in the United States says, hey, I'm qualified, I'd have to send one back. If I had 5 United States workers say, I'm qualified and I want to apply, then I'd have to send 5 back.
Gotcha.
And so that it's to help bring domestics into the workforce, back into the workforce when they meet those requirements.
Well, I'm glad I had you explain it, because a lot of people maybe don't understand. The average person probably doesn't understand
Yep.
how it works. I would think Democrat, Republican, we all support farmers, and we all should. But when it comes to how you do your day in and day out, I don't
Right.
think people understand. So I appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully something will happen. You'll get answers, and I mean, I'm assuming I mean, none of us, I think, support illegal, bad criminals in the country.
Right. Absolutely.
But you're talking about something different. This is,
Yep.
yeah.
This is
So,
bringing them in legally. They have to have background checks. They have to have work visas. They have to have criminal background checks with the FBI and with their country.
oh, I
And
didn't, oh, so they're vetted completely.
they're vetted. They are vetted. And on top of that, one of the things we put into our job order with the Department of Labor is that when they come here at the cost of our expense, we were going to drug test them,
Oh, wow. Okay.
because
Well,
we have little kids on the farm. I have 3-year-old twins up to the 16-year-old son. I don't want that stuff around.
yeah. Well, you're going to have to keep me updated.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you have Democrat, Republican lawmakers trying to help. And
Yep.
hopefully, if someone's in Washington sees it, they can give you a call. If they want to message me, I'll give them your number.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just keep me updated.
I absolutely will. And I greatly appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I did email you a couple weeks ago, but I don't know if I had the right email address.
With email, I get so much I don't know, but I'm glad I'm able to do this finally and to get the word out. I encourage everyone to share this out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And like I said, there's 2 articles on NBC News and on the Leelanau Ticker.
Cool. I'm going to play this whole thing. Everyone can hear everything you said. No editing. I like that the best.
Absolutely.